Betrayal in the New House. When I first saw the house, I fell in love instantly. It was a beautiful colonial-style home with a wraparound porch, large windows that allowed the sunlight to pour in, and a spacious backyard perfect for our future plans. My husband David and I had saved for years to buy our dream home, and finally, our hard work had paid off. The day we moved in felt like the start of a new chapter in our lives. Little did I know how drastically things would change. As a senior business executive, my job often required me to travel. Just a week after we moved into our new home, I had to leave for a 5-day business trip to Chicago. David assured me that he would handle everything at home. He even seemed enthusiastic about having the house to himself, a chance to settle in and get things organized while I was away. I left, excited to return to our beautiful house and start making it our own. The trip was productive but exhausting. On the flight back, I received a text from my friend Clara, who lived a few blocks away. "Call me when you land. It's urgent." My heart skipped a beat, and anxiety gnawed at me. I tried calling her as soon as I landed, but she didn't pick up. My mind raced with the possibilities, each one more distressing than the last. I took a taxi home, my unease growing with every passing mile. When I arrived, the house looked just as beautiful as when I left, but something felt off. There were unfamiliar shoes in the hallway, high-heeled, stylish, and clearly not mine. A woman's jacket, draped casually over the coat rack, was another unfamiliar sight. My heart pounded as I called out for David, my voice trembling. From the living room emerged a young woman, no older than 22, with an air of casual confidence. She was dressed in a way that suggested she was entirely at home, her attire far too comfortable for someone who should have been a guest. Following her was David, his face ashen as he saw me standing there. "This is Sarah," he stammered. "She's one of my students from the college." The room spun around me as the truth crashed down like a wave. Sarah's presence in my home, her ease and familiarity spoke volumes. While I was away, working to secure our future, David had brought his mistress into our new home. Betrayal's sting was made sharper by the setting, a place meant for new beginnings, now marred by deceit. Sarah quickly gathered her things and left without a word, sensing the gravity of the situation. David's attempts to explain were drowned out by the roar of my hurt and anger. His words were hollow, excuses for a betrayal that was too deep to forgive. The days that followed were a blur of tears, anger, and disbelief. I took time off work, needing to sort through my emotions and decide my next steps. David's apologies were relentless, but trust, once broken, is not easily repaired. Each word he spoke felt like a reminder of his betrayal. I spoke to Clara, who told me she had seen Sarah coming and going while I was away. It wasn't just a one-time mistake. It had been a regular occurrence. The betrayal cut deeper. Knowing that it was a continuous deception, Clara had hesitated to tell me, hoping it wasn't true. But once she saw it happening repeatedly, she knew I had to know. Making the decision to leave was one of the hardest things I've ever done. This house, which was supposed to be our dream, had turned into a symbol of betrayal. Staying there, surrounded by the memories of deceit, was unbearable. I filed for divorce and put the house up for sale, knowing that a fresh start was the only way to heal. It wasn't an easy process. There were days when I felt like I couldn't move forward, when the weight of betrayal felt too heavy to bear, but with the support of friends and family, I found the strength to rebuild my life. I rented a small apartment downtown, far from the house that was once filled with broken dreams. In the months that followed, I focused on myself. I picked up hobbies I had long abandoned: painting, gardening, and even writing. I traveled for pleasure, exploring places I had always wanted to visit but never found the time. I met new people, forming friendships that helped heal my wounded heart. It wasn't an overnight transformation, but slowly I started to heal. One evening, about a year after the divorce, I sat on the balcony of my apartment, watching the sunset. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, a serene moment that reminded me of the beauty in life. Despite the betrayal and the pain, life had a way of moving on. Betrayal had shaken my world, but it hadn't broken me. I had rebuilt my life on my terms, finding strength and resilience I never knew I had. David's betrayal was a harsh lesson, but it taught me about the importance of self-worth and resilience. The new chapter in my life wasn't what I had planned, but it turned out to be a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. I had learned to trust myself again, to find joy in the little things, and to embrace the future with hope. As I watched the sun dip below the horizon, I realized that I was at peace. The past was behind me, and a new chapter lay ahead, one filled with possibilities and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. And for that, I was grateful. David's betrayal left me in a daze for weeks. I couldn't believe the man I had trusted, the man I had built a life with, could betray me so deeply. The nights were the hardest. I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment, every sign I might have missed. How had I been so blind? One particularly sleepless night, I decided to go through our old photo albums. The pictures chronicled our life together. Birthdays, holidays, random candid shots. Each photo was a painful reminder of happier times, now tainted by the knowledge of his infidelity. I came across a picture from our honeymoon in Italy. We were standing in front of the Colosseum, smiling, so in love. How had that love turned into this? In the weeks that followed, I started to gather the strength to make more permanent decisions about my future. I found a lawyer and began the painful process of divorce. David, to his credit, didn't fight it. He seemed to understand the magnitude of his betrayal and knew there was no coming back from it. He moved out, and I was left alone in the house that was meant to be our dream home. The emptiness of the house echoed my loneliness. Every room held memories of us, but they were now shadows of what once was. I decided to sell the house. It was a difficult decision, but necessary. I needed a fresh start, free from the constant reminders of David and our shattered life together. I found a small apartment downtown. It was modest but charming, with a view of the city skyline. Moving in felt like stepping into a new chapter of my life. It was both terrifying and liberating. For the first time in years, I was on my own, responsible only for myself. It was an opportunity to rediscover who I was, outside of being David's wife. I threw myself into my work, finding solace in the familiar routines and challenges of my job. My colleagues were supportive, offering kind words and distractions when I needed them most. Outside of work, I began exploring new hobbies. I joined a painting class, something I had always wanted to do but never had the time for. The process of creating something beautiful out of a blank canvas was therapeutic. It reminded me that I too could rebuild my life from the ground up. Travel became another outlet for my healing. I visited places I had always dreamed of seeing: Paris, Tokyo, Sydney. Each trip was an adventure, a chance to immerse myself in new cultures and experiences. Traveling alone was empowering. It forced me to step out of my comfort zone, to navigate the world on my own terms. I met incredible people along the way, forming friendships that enriched my life. Slowly, I began to feel like myself again. The weight of betrayal lifted, replaced by a sense of resilience and determination. I realized that I didn't need a partner to feel complete. I was enough on my own. 1 year after the divorce, I found myself on the balcony of my apartment, watching the sunset. The sky was a brilliant canvas of oranges and pinks, a daily reminder of life's beauty. As I sipped my tea, I reflected on how far I had come. The pain of David's betrayal had shaped me, but it didn't define me. I had emerged stronger, more confident, and ready to embrace whatever the future held. David's betrayal was a harsh lesson, but it taught me about the importance of self-worth and resilience. The new chapter in my life wasn't what I had planned, but it turned out to be a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. I had learned to trust myself again, to find joy in the little things, and to embrace the future with hope. As I watched the sun dip below the horizon, I realized that I was at peace. The past was behind me, and a new chapter lay ahead, one filled with possibilities and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. And for that, I was grateful. Betrayal in the New House is a compelling and emotionally charged narrative that explores the deep wounds inflicted by infidelity and the journey towards self-discovery and empowerment. The story follows the protagonist, a successful business executive, who returns from a business trip to uncover her husband's betrayal. David, her husband, has brought his young mistress Sarah into their newly purchased dream home, turning a place meant for new beginnings into a symbol of deceit. The protagonist's world is shattered as she confronts the reality of David's ongoing affair. Her initial shock and pain give way to a determined quest for self-healing and independence. As she navigates the complexities of divorce, she makes the difficult decision to sell the house, symbolizing her break from the past and the start of a new,